Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries, sponsored by Discovery Parts and OMP. I'm Austin. I am joined by Marco Barber, and we are here in the roller coaster in the South, Barber Motorsports Park. Marco, welcome. How you feeling? It's a toasty 121 degrees out there on track today, right now.
Absolutely. Well, hello to you, Austin. Hello to everyone else watching. And this is the final round of this short but very entertaining championship. And what better place to end the proceedings than here in Barber? I know that you absolutely love this track. I do. And we have seen in the past few weeks that GT4 cars around this place are quite a handful. I think we are going to have a very nice day to wrap up this championship with this guy that you see on the screen right now, Dion Fiallo. He is, I'd say, the champion-elect, but we'll wait for official confirmation. Let's say that if you're new to the series, Dion won 4 out of 4 races so far. So it's pretty safe to say that he has got the title in the bag, but, we will wait because of course, it's always better to wait and never count your chicken before everything is done and dusted. But yeah, Dion has had a fantastic season, and I think he's looking good. Provisional pole for him right now, only 0.020 in front of Brandt Estes. So let's go through qualifying. Why not?
Now, we're currently sitting in qualifying 5 minutes to go. And let's get a good... Ooh, that's a tasty on board with Brandt S. But let's ride on board with him. As he takes us around a very clean lap of Barber Motorsports Park. Comes across the line. Turn 1 is pretty tricky, especially at the start of the race. Expect a lot of moves down here. Drop it down into turn 1. Then it's a long right-hander around the carousel. Goes up and down. Hit that curb down onto the inside. Then turn 3 is a blind crest. Very tricky in these cars, especially if you hit that curb. It's going to send your cars around. Then it's a hard on the brakes. Then a drop down to Charlotte's Web. Double apex hairpin. Don't get caught in there. Then you got a nice short shoot coming out of Charlotte's Web into the drop down chicanes. One of the most unique corners on this track and in all the world of motorsports. Very tricky. You might see some moves down the inside, but moves here are very rare to see. Then this is James Hunt corner, as I like to call it. Flat out, you have to just be flat out through here to gain all the speed through there and use those, quote, big balls. Then into roller coaster, drop down and then back up again. Blind crest, and car gets very light and upset right there. Then it's a long, I would say double, triple apex. Here, the braking point is miles off to the left side. And then you fling it back in there into the final corner, and that is a lap around Barber Motorsports Park.
Just in front of Brandt was the pole sitter, and there he is. 29.319, a fantastic lap from Dion Fiallo. We just watched him right in front of us as he was setting this fantastic lap. No improvement for Brandt Estes nor for Thornton Muir. These three have been the guys to watch, at least at the pointy end of the field, Austin, with, of course, great battles between them. Dion, of course, has been the dominator, but Brandt has been always there or thereabouts, fighting for the race win. And Thornton Muir, you can see they are very nicely positioned on the track, one next to the other. Has been a bit more of an up and down driver, has had some brilliant moments, some less brilliant moments. But in the end, I think a very good season for him as well. As you can see, some of these cars with the liveries that have been basically automatically forcibly updated by iRacing to include some of the new logos for the Porsche
Actually,
Support Series.
I'm gonna correct you on there. The Tag Heuer's liveries are not forcefully applied.
No?
It's not an override. It's just some
Oh no, yeah,
prefer
but
green over blue.
if you use the new template, they are pre-stamped, then you can remove them.
Oh,
Of
yes.
course, yes. So
Yes.
for example, Thornton is using the default paint, I think, in iRacing. so he's got them. But if you have a costume paint, yes, thankfully racing has gotten more and more lax with this lately, because
Unless you drive a BMW.
unless you drive a BMW. And if Bobby Childs is listening to us, I know he was watching the Road to Indy race a few minutes ago. That makes him very, very mad, because those guys at Rickmotec spend hours getting, all they try to simulate GTD and GT Le Mans to a T, no? And they have all the nice banners for all the cars, but not the
And then
BMW.
BMW.
Oh.
Which is kind of why I said it, because I know he makes him mad.
Let's see other drivers.
Don't
Yeah.
give me ammunition to get under your skin, because I will use it.
Marshall Aiken sitting in 10th place. You can see the top 10, top 11 for that matter, in the span of 2 seconds. Does not improve. Jaden Reina just improved. Of course, maybe, as Dion Fiallo says, okay, he's not qualifying anymore. Thornton Muir has got a purple third sector. We might see some mistakes, and probably we will, Austin, but this is a beautiful track for just driving. But uh, passing around here, not the easiest thing in the world, especially if the guy in front of you
Definitely.
is not making mistakes.
Definitely, passing here is one of the hardest things to do. So that's why I said lap 1. It's going to be very on point for some guys to be defending very well on lap 1, or attacking as hard as they can on lap 1 going into turns 1, because that's the overtaking spots here are, yeah, there aren't a lot. Charlotte's Web is the one that I would say is the most, but even though that double apex and that very late entry, it's kind of like a triangle on exit. So you can get onto the power very early into that corner. Just be cautious about just letting off. But if you hold that inside line, it's going to be hard to get onto the power. But if you go onto the outside, it's very easy to get onto the power early, because it's banked inwards.
You can see from the track map, and of course from watching, and the lap we had earlier, that Austin brilliantly described to us on board with Brantes, how many of the corners around this place are long flowing corners. There are not a lot of hard braking areas. There we go. He was talking about this particular place as the biggest passing spot in the track. But yeah, you can see that various apexes that you can use, that you can touch. So, but I mean, we still love this track, because yes, it's tough to pass, but it's also tough to tame, just like Darlington.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see you can maybe expect some mistakes from the driver in front of you, and if you put enough pressure on him, maybe you can get that moved on. As I think we are just waiting for the session to switch over, as Jaden Reina is happily running around, hot lapping on his own. These times will not be valid for his qualifying, as he's
It wasn't going to be valid anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he is having a bit of fun also mowing some of the grass. And here we go, he gets kicked unceremoniously out of the racetrack, and Austin will take you through the starting grid. We've had a couple of rolling starts to open the season, and then we've had all standing starts today. I was about to say, today we should have another standing start. Nope, we're going to have a rolling start. And so, we have all the time in the world, Austin, to take the viewers through the starting grid, which is not this, but it's this.
There we go. And for one final time of the year, starting up on pole is Dion Fiallo, followed by Brant Etz in second place, Thornton Muir in third, Zach Holden, Ryan C. Flannery, Michael Day, Michael Green, Jaden Reyna, Fred Hazelton, Ryan T. Harper, Ryan, Philip Crane, Marshall Aitken, Michael Lane, Trev Cook, Patrick Wilmot, and Kevin Espinoza is our grid for the final round in the Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries, powered by Discovery Parts and OMP.
beautiful then, as we are getting ready to go, waiting for, well, we'll have to wait until the 2 minute clock because I think Kevin, as per usual, Espinosa is here with marshalling duties. Now, of course, there is a new, not very publicized feature by iRacing that you can enter a command in the command console and basically force the pace car to roll before the 2 minute mark, but we are just 10 seconds away, so no need to do that. And you will see that Porsche pace car move around in just a second. And here we go, rolling across the start finish line very slowly. It is
Eventually.
come
A
on, come
little,
on.
little,
You,
little bit, a little bit too happy, and Dylan just decided on to the reverse right there. But we're off and away for the one last time here for the Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries. Just a little quick message from Race Control: keep it clean. We've had a great season so far. Let's give everyone a good old show today, and they definitely are looking forward to give us all a great show here on Apex Racing TV with their supporters, supporters, fans, friends, family, either watching the drivers on here at Apex Racing TV on YouTube or Apex Racing TV on Facebook or on drivers' personal streams on whatever platform they want to be.
I mean, and I say this, of course, as we get ready and to start this final race of the season. We have had the pleasure of broadcasting many series, especially, uh, a strange time zone for me as of late. Formula Regional, of course, the DCRA Championship, this beautiful AMP E series, and I have to say thanks to everyone because it has been absolutely fantastic to get finally my a regular taste, at least for myself, of you know a nice American online racing. Not anymore stuck in the European time zone, so to speak. And I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure. Of course, we still have plenty of racing going on for you guys in the States, including American Endurance Championship on alternating Mondays. We have the beautiful World Karting Association series every Monday night. These are just the first two that come to my mind. We just had, of course, and hopefully you were watching that before watching this, the Road to Indy official series. They had two fantastic races at Laguna Seca, Austin. I had so much fun that I almost went in a
Forgot to
bit
come
late.
here.
No, I never forget about my duty, but they were so enthralling. And now we have this, of course. What better way to end the day here on Apex Racing TV, or start the day if you live in Europe, than Porsche GT4s at Barber.
Yeah, pace cars off, the revs are high, the heartbeats are higher, and one last time, we're going green flag racing here at Barber Motorsports Park for the Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries presented by OMP and Discovery Parts. It's a great start for Dion Fiala, Brandon Ed, Sorton Muir, and Zach Holden. Your top four immediately. Everyone having a good, clean start. Michael Green's falling down 2 spots. It's an amazing start for Ryan T. Hopper as he made a great start. We have one car around. That's Patrick Wilmot.
He's in the ground. Look at that. He basically went, all the way around, and had a nice, nice run through the gravel there. As we are getting into the beautiful section here of this, I would say these S's. So tricky to get it right, Austin, and of course, then this long run into the best. I mean, look at the elevation changes, man. I mean, this is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, iRacing doesn't show on how much elevation change it is, but through Hunt comes Brandon as he had a great run, but going into roller coaster, he decides to back off, but he knows that he's got Dylan Fialo's number. He's looking for just one rid and just trying to take the streak off, and in the wall is Ryan Harper. Had such a great start at the start, and unfortunately goes into the wall.
Hopefully timing and scoring will update as Thornton Muir goes for a bit of a ride in the grass. Hopefully timing and scoring will update because at least on my end it's a bit messed up. I don't know about you, Austin.
I'm getting pretty much the same thing that you're getting right now. I'm not getting times by people with gaps, but believe I'm the same with you. We're looking at Dion Fialo up ahead of Brandon Etz heading into beautiful Charlotte's Web.
Maybe we can catch a replay of what happened just a few seconds ago to Ryan Harper. I dare go to a replay very quickly. There he is.
Just heading into roller coaster. So easy to upset the car here. Oh, yep, he hit the curb up onto the entry, and that's already upset the car. And once the Porsche GT4 gets upset, she does not want any of your back talk, and she goes into the wall.
Oh yeah, I mean that stability control at a certain point, as we've said plenty of times, starts working against you basically, and you are left as a passenger.
That's what happened to Ryan Harper. As we follow this battle for the lead of this 45-minute race, 2 laps down, and a lot more to go.
I think timing and scoring is returning to its senses. Yeah, oh, finally. Drivers are starting to get back to the lead lap. I don't know why for the first 2 laps iRacing thought that everyone was a lap down. It got me a bit scared, to be fair, but yeah, now everything is back to normal and I can show you the gaps, which is always good.
Yes, iRacing has finally realized what was happening. Except if you go for the top speed off of Jada Reyna, who was apparently clocked last lap going 143 miles an hour. Looking at the battle for ninth between A-King Green and Hazelton. Michael Green gave a very nice pre-lap, pre-race on the formation lap national anthem.
Ooh.
Also known as he held up his phone to his microphone to play the national anthem.
Something that, of course, you need to be very careful when you do it, because I've been told, Austin, that you got a telling off from the stewards.
Yeah.
Someone told me.
In fairness, it wasn't the national anthem. It was Back Home Again in Indiana.
Oh, yeah, of course, sorry. Yes, you are right.
And in fairness, it wasn't the stewards telling me. It was somebody protesting me for doing it.
Yeah, and you know, the stewards didn't
And in
really
fairness,
like it.
the stewards were actually a fan of it. But they said, don't. It's best not to do it again unless it's a league race.
Say hello to everyone. Chris Nichols, Elijah Dopkins watching us in the chat. As we see Lane and Cook fighting hard. Trying to read what's on that rear end of that Cayman. But,
something about chicken.
Yes. And something about being drunk also as well.
I know it's a KFC car. And Michael Lane, I'm a fan of KFC, okay?
I'm a fan as well. I'm too drunk too, and then the rest I cannot read. But let's
I'm too drunk to take this chicken. Back up front was Dion Fialo, Brandon Etz. They're pulling away from the rest of the group right now, so we get a lovely slow-mo shot of this.
Take this chicken, yeah? All right.
It's finger looking good.
Okay, after this very unprofessional moment, go back to actual racing as Seth Aldretti. Thanks, Seth, for subscribing to Apex Racing TV on YouTube. Hopefully you're enjoying the show.
Yeah, enjoying the show is what we're all about here at Apex Racing TV, giving y'all a very professional broadcast and making it entertaining, as well as some great racing out there on track. And these two up at front have been providing us a amazing show. Remember in Watkins Glen, where we thought the streak was over, then he pulled it back. Dion Fialo going for that 5-in-a-row streak to clean sweep the season and cement the crown of Le Champion on his head, which he pretty much already has.
Oh yeah, I mean, in every race, basically Dion has had this moment where he was in a very very close fight, usually with Brandt, and then at some point he flicked the switch on, as I say many times, and then he ran away with it. I'm sure that Brandt doesn't want this to happen again, and he's, you know, he does. He feels like he's in a bit of a deja vu situation. By the way, Brandt has in his car, he has, I think, peeled off his numbers. Well, all the decal layers has been peeled off. If you can see, there are like red shadows also where the, if you look at the rear where the Michelin guy should be, there is, you know, just a,
That's red.
something went terribly wrong with the spec map on this car. So it also doesn't have a number, but he has one on the windshield, thankfully. So it's 117 in front of 17, in front of the 11 of
He's
the
got the
purple
number on
mirror.
the number plate. He's got the number on the number
You
plate.
sure?
Yeah, I see
Not
17 on the number.
not appearing for me.
One of us has numbers turned off.
Maybe it was me. Maybe it is me because I use
Yes,
custom
you have
numbers.
numbers turned off.
Okay, so splash screen as I open the option settings.
Realization of 3, 2, 1.
And it's going to be a bit longer than this, unfortunately. Especially because I have to bring up
2,
iRacing to a
3,
manageable
4, 5, 6, 7,
size.
3, 2, 1. There.
No, I'm still having to fight to get iRacing. Okay, here we go.
You're listening to Apex Racing TV Radio, presented by the lovely vocal tones of Austin Knight and Marco Barbonera. Here at Barber Motorsports Park for the Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries, presented by OMP and Discovery
We are
Parts.
back, Austin. We have been back for the past 30 seconds.
Gosh dang it! I was in
Oh,
it.
and look at this beautiful livery now. All of a sudden, it's sprung to life. The so apologies to. I have, you know, I've had, you know, now costume number paint for almost 2-3 months now. So to all these drivers, in all these broadcasts I did recently, that, you know, their liveries didn't show up properly, I apologize. You know, I didn't realize the damage I did to you.
I knew it.
Still very close fight here between these two fantastic drivers. Of course, Dion will will probably get the crown at the end of the day for winning the championship. There's a nasty bump every time they come out of there, as you can see these drivers getting into this quick S's section, but as you can see now,
We have 3 cars going to the pit lane exactly on the same lap. Harper, Lane, and Cook.
something must have happened.
They were very separate from each other, though. Here's Michael Lane.
Mm-hmm.
This is roller coaster. Went miles off
Aye.
and bang into the wall.
Did he have a bad rejoin?
I think somebody had a bad time on the rejoin, and oh, I'm getting nervous. He's still off. The hood's bouncing around. Separate incident. Trey Cook is also in the pits.
Yeah. So one was. Let's see who else went off.
I think these are all just separate incidents.
It is Ryan Harper.
Yeah, Ryan we saw had a massive hit on lap 1. And that's a lot of curbing right there. And he...
Ah.
Oh!
I mean, he could have gone for the pits at this point. Unlucky
yeah,
there.
that was just an unfortunate line going to the pit lane.
11 minutes down. 45.
And around coming out of the carousel is Philip Crane.
I think you're absolutely right, Austin. Let's go and check what happened to the number 13.
Yeah, he's up there ahead of Aitken. And I mentioned this on my lap. You do not want... Oh, got into the grass and hard into the wall.
That was a big hit.
Yeah, thankfully he's back around. That car doesn't look a little bit too damaged, but it's definitely going to be affecting him. So we look down through the field at the rest of the cars. Especially this battle for the lead. Up at front, still between Dion Fialo and Brett Etz. And the cool thing about those two guys is they're swapping fastest laps.
Yeah, they tend to do this every time we race. They are certainly not shy about that. You know, one lap is one lap is. Brent only needs that, you know, final push when Dion seems to have that extra bit always left in reserve where he is able to pull away. Um, one thing that's very, very common in this championship, and I'm loving these beautiful liveries, this Pepsi livery. I mean, this is something else. I mean, look
Not a
at the
fan of the
reflection.
drink, but I am a fan of this livery.
Big fan of the drink and big fan of the livery, and of course we had the America car somewhere. Oh, this is the car. I mean,
Now, I'm a fan of 100% of this. And I'm pretty sure everyone who's American is a fan of this car.
I mean, there are a lot of beautiful cars. Also, this one by Ryan Harper. Ryan Harper's livery is, you know, it says Rhino, but reminds me a lot of the Rothmans livery that, of course, Porsche used to run at Le Mans, and of course, very popular in the Williams Renault days. And of course, Dion Fiallo running a little bit of Italian pride here at the front, as per usual. The Mivano driver, a very popular Italian team. Not very popular as an Italian team because they have mostly international drivers, and that's what makes them fantastic. They got this, you know, next step that many Italian teams are afraid to do. They have a lot of drivers from outside of Italy, most of the drivers actually, and you know, Dion is one of the best in terms of GT racing, as I said many times. A coach for Craig Setup Shop, very popular setup maker in GT, GT3, and as I said many times, Austin looks like he's got this GT4 deal, you know, down and in a hurry because he's, you know, having, you know, the time of his life. Oh, whoa! Did they? Oh,
That's a cut track.
I almost jinxed him. Will he get a slowdown?
It's very lax. It's very lax in that corner, honestly. I do not believe he is going to get a slowdown, but that is definitely a very lax corner in penalty wise. As somebody who's jumped that corner a lot in racing, it is pretty easy to do, so it's not strict on the corner cutting.
Austin, this is
It
the
will
place
give
where
you an off track though.
This is the place where you took your road car around for a ride, if I'm not mistaken, no?
Yes, I've raced here. And I've
You're-
driven on the
Oh,
track just
I thought
regularly.
you only raced, you know, you only did some joyriding with your car around here.
This is also true. Legal joyriding though, so
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I
There
never raced.
isn't really a series where you take a Toyota Camry out from 1999 to start racing it, unless it's 24 hours of lemons and you're just, well, you just want to win it.
I
Hint for all you lemon racers.
never, you know, I'm not a driver, but being a marshal gives me the chance every time I go and work at my local racetrack to take my car. Of course, oh dear, Dion Fiallo really aggressive through there. And of course, when you're a marshal, unless you work the pit lane, which I usually work, you need to get to the, you know, to the marshal post somehow, and that somehow is, you know, the car. So you take your car, and I have to say that it really makes you appreciate laser scanning because, of course, my local track Vallelunga is laser scanned in another sim, which I don't like, the sim, but you know, when I went there for the first time with my, you know, little Toyota car as a marshal, I really appreciated, you know, how much you have the impression that you are here. And of course, you, Austin, having driven on many of these North American racetracks have an even better perspective of how much of a game changer laser scanning is.
Yeah, I wish I was on a sim when I first started racing because I just went by pure instinct most of the time. I didn't really know much about Sims as Aiken and Hazelton just made me swallow my words right there. Both going very wide in the final turns, but keeping it both on the track as they now race down the front straight. Yeah, but the most
Oh,
simmy thing I've ever done was probably before Circuit of the Americas came on. That's why I'm just like, I'm gonna dip my feet into sim racers market. And when I went there the first time and driven on it the first time, it was just a entire game changer for me. But yeah, sim racing and Sims have definitely improved drivers all over the world,
oh!
especially in lower series. The feeder series, where drivers use their own simulators and learn the track before the race, it is amazing, but nothing can compare to the real thing and putting a car on its edge. And speaking on the edge, Michael Lane is around at the end of roller coaster.
He's in a very precarious position as the Pepsi car is coming. Let's see what happened to Michael as we get a replay. The KFC car not
Oh, he's
having the...
being lapped too. And he's just got into the grass and
Oh dear.
on.
Oh dear.
Okay, my heart can start slowing down. It's over. If you want to see a sweep almost go away in a moment, look away.
Oh,
You. Gian Fialo is a lucky man.
very, very lucky indeed, as Philip Crane goes into the pits. And despite this, his gap is 1.8 seconds, so he hasn't missed a bit. Brantes, as you can see, losing a little bit of touch, but I think we should focus on this fight right here, Austin, because these guys are absolutely going at it. Aiken, Hazelton, and Green.
Yeah, this three-way battle for 8th place. We love some midfield battles here, and that's where they get very scrappy. So you ride on board with Marshall Aitken, looking back at Fred Hazelton in that number 8 car. And very late into the breaks goes Aiken as Hazelton and Green are right behind him. Let's ride on board now with Hazelton as we head into Hunt. It's not called Hunt officially by the racetrack. It's just called Hunt by me because of a James Hunt quote, big balls. And that's what it takes to go into that chicane.
You know,
Just,
that's how corner names are born sometimes, you know? So,
yes. It's also how the pit lane at Phil Hill is, I'm not going to finish that story. Because I just messed up the entire track name, and I'm not going to finish it now. Harris Hill, that's what it is.
Aiken and Hazelton look to be, I mean, Green is not that far away, but seems like Aiken and Hazelton are closer to each other. Maybe Hazelton will fancy his chances this time around. Need to be brave, of course. With ABS, the braking distances are you know, a bit longer, but it's also tougher to make the difference. And you can see almost every driver, when they come out of that corner, they slide, and that's of course costs a lot of momentum. And then there's that nasty bump, and I'm surprised we have seen not a lot of cars. I mean, if you remember, for example, there is that bump coming out of the pits at Bathurst that with cold tires can kill you in a very, very quick time. I've seen that happen so many times in my years commentating the Euro V8 Championship. Euro V8 that's going to be back, of course, this Saturday at 18 GMT for the final enduro of the season around Brands Hatch. That's going to be quite a unique setting, as Hazelton goes a bit too deep there, but not by much, and still can keep a decent line. Oh, green!
Green saved a very out of control car right there. It's very hard to save a car, especially this one, because the way the ESC works doesn't really work as in you think it would. It more works as in it just turns everything off. So the throttle, it goes off. The steering, it stays where you're pointing it, but it doesn't really do a lot. The most you can do when the car steps out back in to step on the brake. And once you feel the car start rotating a little bit, let off the brake, and the car should settle her down just a little bit. And if you're in a Formula car, you lock up the front until the car starts correcting itself, then you let off the brake. As this is a replay of Dion Fialo. Did he have an incident going into roller coaster?
Just went a bit on the grass. I thought it was.
Oh, this is Hunt. Yeah, this is a off
Also,
track for him.
I think Philip Crane
Philip.
also at the moment in the grass. Yeah.
Track limits are very hard here, especially we've seen a lot of American tracks. They do this grass on the runoff area, which is how it should be done. Makes people respect track limits a little bit more. Corner exits, not so much, but in fast corners, they do respect them a lot, and they're scared of that grass, especially on these V7 tires.
Absolutely, positively agree with you, Austin. That's the way it should be done. But as a marshal,
Terribly unsafe.
I love tarmac runoff areas because it halves your work. Because if a driver goes off in the tarmac runoff area, he can rejoin. If he goes off in the in the grass or God forbid, the gravel, it's extra work for you.
Yes. Hopefully your track managers are not listening to this right now.
Don't forget that Vallelunga, we have everything to theoretically host an F1 Grand Prix. We are missing just a bit of we don't have the road around the racetrack basically. The access roads are a bit lacking and they will never be changed, and of course the pits are a bit too small. But apart from that, we also have the microsectors for the virtual safety car if you want, and the track is available for F1 testing, but that of course, as you know, is basically non-existent. So in terms of runoff areas, we are basically, we have some grass and gravel, but that's mostly, of course, next
It's
to
a
the track.
very beautiful track, I must say
Yeah.
that.
In the big corners, the gravel and the grass are so far away, and there's before that miles of tarmac runoff. It's actually incredible when you go there for the first time and you see how big these tarmac runoffs are. So I never had the opportunity to go and pick up a car that was beached, thankfully. I had to duck below the pit wall to avoid a car that was flipping on the front straight. Yes, that was a thing, of course. But that was also very spectacular, So.
Yeah, we thank you for all your hard work as track marshals. And we also thank all track marshals out there who love keeping the racetrack clean and keeping us safe for a stupid idea or us getting sent into a wall.
Especially a big thanks to the marshals of Mid-Ohio. Austin knows why.
I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up.
I didn't say anything.
But yes, thank you.
26 minutes in, halfway mark that has been passed in.
It's a very separated race, I must say. We do have one three-way fight, and it is this one for 8th right now between Aiken, Hazleton, and Green. But the battle up front is miles above the rest of the field. Patrick Wilmot goes around into the final corner.
Yeah, And I think he clipped the wall because he called it a day. Oh,
He's
oh
also
yeah,
boom.
that is not good for your car. Even these
Or
cars that have,
driver.
the engine in the back has. Look at Michael Green. No, no, no. He
Oh,
was having such a good run.
and he's been caught in Charlotte's web.
Oh, look at that hood bouncing.
Yeah, gotta be careful in the acceleration, or else that hood's gonna fly up and blind you.
It looked to me like he had a fantastic run coming out of Charlotte's Web, Austin, but
Oh yeah, it's so convincing that you have such a great run, but you see he got onto the curb, and that just shot him out wide. Then he just got to the grass, and oh, boom.
the hood actually went for a bit of a ride. Then it settled back down, but that's not going to help him. Of course, again, luckily for these drivers, these cars have the engine in the back, so in other cars, a hit like this, it's usually game over for the engine. Sometimes also the suspensions really don't. But this GT4 car seems to be pretty resistant. But what this does, unfortunately, is take Michael out of the fight. But Marshall and Fred are still very much in contention for 8th place, and now they don't have to look behind them. And so it's just the two of them. Let's see as they go back once again to Charlotte's Web.
Hard on the brakes a little bit later on the brakes goes Hazelton. Aiken definitely saw that in his mirror. If he was looking at the fact that Hazelton's car was closing in faster and faster, and that's a scary sight, especially if you're hard on the brakes. You definitely don't want to see the guy behind you just sending it going into there. And just look at that line that Aiken takes through that drop down chicane. Very efficient, not braking so hard at the very front and using more of the downhill parts to brake compared to Hazelton.
I think Austin, this nose cam really shows the elevation changes of a given racetrack, and look at look at this place. Also the setting, the statues, the green, everything about this place makes me, despite not being the best place for racing, and in the sense of duels, it certainly is one of the best places in the world to just take a car and have some massive fun.
It definitely is one of my favorite places in the world to just take my cars or rent out a car and take her around the track. But there is one place that I definitely favor more the Barber Motors. Okay, there are two. Oh, into the wall goes Michael Green, and he's going to probably consider going into the pit lane next lap because, well, he just crashed it right in front of the pit lane. A lot of speed, and that's just too much on the brakes. And then he just tried to muster it out of there, that boom into the wall.
So you were saying about your favorite places to race, or just
Yeah, one
have
of
some
them
fun?
is very biased. It is Circuit of the Americas, but another track that I absolutely love is Atlanta Motorsports Park, which is this series. That track is just fantastic to drive around. And when it comes to iRacing, I will be a very happy boy. And I believe everyone in this series is going to be very happy as well. And also, somebody who is going to be very happy is our driver in third place, Thornton Mir, as it's his birthday.
There you go. Time to take a screenshot, I'd say, for all Turtle Muir fans and friends.
And
Yeah,
family,
and family, yes.
currently sitting in third place with 15 minutes to go. 3 seconds ahead of Holden. And I think he's got a pretty good gap to these guys. And he's been very consistent today.
And all of a sudden, pops up out of nowhere another fight. Michael Day and Jaden Reina. Jaden has gained one place from his starting one, so but everyone else in front of him is where they started. So Reina certainly a guy on the move. Let's see the comparison in lap times, by the way, and see what is it. Yeah, look at that. I mean, Reina is really, really, really on a roll. And behind them, Austin, we have Aiken and Hazelton, of course. So let's keep an eye on this group.
That's sitting on the back of Michael Day as we go through Hunt and that flat out chicane. Reina sporting that Tag Heuer Sunstrip for that upcoming series, which I am very thankful is here, especially if you know how much I enjoy the Michelin Pilot Challenge. You know exactly why I'm excited for what's coming up.
Oh, mistake
As
there
a
from Holden.
that's Holden. I went wide through carousel. And
There is.
turn 1 is very deadly. Off track, onto the grass, and oh, boom! Hard into the wall.
You know, Austin, people at home, and certainly you know better than me, and of course, because you know you are very very you know this track very well. We might have you people at home might have noticed that every time you make a mistake around here, you go smashing into a wall. There is like no way. I mean, seems like you have plenty of runoff in some places, but in the places where you usually tend to spin, there is more than likely a wall waiting for you, Austin, and this shows how tough this track is. Going back to what we were saying at the opening of the broadcast on how much you it's tough to pass, but you can rely, quote unquote, or so to speak, to hope for a mistake from your opponent.
Definitely it is.
Oh, Tortomure is off. Good save.
Great save, as you were saying. Plenty of plays to run off, and unfortunately go into the wall, and plenty of track to save it with, because Barber is not like most American tracks. It's not those double lane tracks. This is a triple lane track, and very wide compared to all the other tracks here in America. But what a save from Thornton Muir.
Oh, Reina
As Reina looking down the inside of Day. And he's very close and set up for a great move. So they go over that blind crest, following nose to tail, heading into Charlotte's Web. They go that first part of the turn. It's so tricky to get right. So we saw Reina just get a good flick around the start, but unfortunately unable to counter it on the exit.
Oh, sorry, misclicked. They want to look away from
I
this great
definitely don't
fight.
want to click away from this battle. Day and Reina going nose to tail, ended up the inside, going Reina on the rebound of Roller Coaster. Had a great line through there and going up the inside into the final corner. Reina and Day, and we have a new driver in sixth place. It is Jaden Reina ahead of Michael Day, but they're still going at it with each other.
That was a massive argy-bargy, but at the same time, Zach Holden had another moment. This is not the replay we saw earlier, because as you can see, but he made the exact same crash. Wow, and there was someone else there.
That was Philip Crane also did that last lap.
And also, looks like Tortomure also had another little bit of a moment. Nothing major, but again, maybe the tires are starting to give up, Austin, because...
Ooh, you saw that track entry, right? He was in the grass, but what a save. That was Philip Crane going down to the on the outside of the track right there. And Crane and Mir are very thankful that they didn't go meeting into each other, because once you lose control of that turn 1, it's very hard to get back. And when you do, if you do lose control, they usually go ending up at the same spot where another car is.
Yeah, Holden, Crane and Muir basically all had almost like a date in that corner, and all three made a mistake, some bigger than other. Of course, Muir got away mostly scot-free as Hazelton looking very aggressive, fighting for P8. We are in the last portion of the race, just 8 minutes left in the season. You can see on the top side of your screen, on top of your screen, your leader is Dion Fial, which is a graphic that I massively underuse, Austin, which I absolutely love. This leader graphic there.
Yeah, we do have a few unused graphics that we don't use here.
The
probably
strategy is the one that I should use. Of course, not at all useful in this race because there are no stops. But that's a lovely graphic that I recently learned to appreciate, especially in enduros.
Yes, our enduros, we love having them here at the SDK Gaming Software. Just love showing them on the broadcast. My favorite one I've been using, especially for the last 2 weeks for the Indy 500, is the weather. Actually,
Oh, you're right. We haven't gotten our weather report. It's a bit late to do that, but you know, let's do it anyways. There you go. And in lovely Freedom units.
yeah, it is currently 66 degrees in the air on a beautiful May 15th, 2020, and a 2 p.m. time here at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama. The track is at 118 degrees, so it's a bit toasty. 28% degrees humidity with a dew point at 1006. They breeze with a swift 2 miles an hour breeze going north. That is your track report here at Barber Motorsports Park.
Thank you, Austin, our official weatherman for the North American races. As we are heading...
Sadly, don't have a green screen and don't have a suit to do that live in front of the camera.
I was actually thinking of getting a green screen for the upcoming future. We are thinking
Wait,
about...
I do have a green screen. What
we
am I
were
talking
thinking about doing like a virtual studio for the Italian, official esports championship of the Italian Motorsport Club. We started doing this year, and yeah, so that might be something to think of, especially because I have a massive collection of shirts that I want to show the world. There was a very popular character in Italian TV in the 90s. He was a comedian who very famously stood in front of a green screen and he wore a necktie the same color as the green screen. It was intended, so basically you could see behind him and there was always this cloudy sky, and that's the effect I want to go for. It's something that every Italian person of my age knows.
I have a feeling we're stumbling on an idea that is going to be amazing to pitch to Lee.
I am just about to show you a picture as we are heading into the final 5 minutes of the race. This race has, despite not having not too many, fights on the track, we are certainly enjoyed ourselves, and we are getting closer and closer to the end. 40 minutes have really come and gone.
That is a character right there.
Oh yeah. That is, by the way, the lovely Gulf of Naples, one of the most beautiful seaside places you can find in Italy, and also the birthplace of pizza.
I didn't know that because one of my favorite restaurants is called Maples Pizza. I am not going to name drop them again because, yeah. Oh, his thing gets off and boom into the wall.
Ouch. So
no.
In the end, it was survival of the fittest, and this guy was Marshall Aiken because Fred Hazelton and Michael Green, they tried to pass him. They both failed. And both came out in a spectacular fashion. Let's get a replay of that. Poor Fred Hazelton.
Oh, just got into the grass, drove it in there in the final corner, just a little bit wide, and the car was already rotating it. Oh, and that 45-degree barrier heading straight onto it, 90 degrees, and at the end, that's the strongest part of the barrier because it's on the turn. And you hit that, it's like hitting a steel wall because it is a steel wall.
Something that Austin at iRacing does really well, and Starton Muir really likes the run of Fair in turn 1, the birthday boy, as he's still in third. You know, something that iRacing does and that I always overlooked, it's really differentiating the places where you crash. You know, hitting a tire wall, it gives you usually much less damage than hitting, you know, an armco barrier. So, I mean, if you want to hit something in a racing, try to head for the tire barriers. For example, in Detroit, you can notice this quite a lot. Hitting the tire walls at Belle Isle, it's much less dangerous. I mean, you still don't want to do it, don't get me wrong, but if you really need to hit the wall, as Hazelton heads for the pits, you want to head for the tire wall, because especially in you know, teen top cars, GT cars, touring cars, you can get away mostly without massive damage. Armco, as you have seen there, as you have seen today, and this track is basically all full of Armco barriers around. You know, it's usually spells disaster for you.
Indeed, it does. As Dylan Fiallo goes across the line, right in front of us, and oh, we got a multiple car collision down in the drop down chicane, and it's just a lot of cars involved. This is Patrick Wilmot and Philip Crane going together into the drop down chicane, and Crane gets into the back of Wilmot, and around goes Wilmot. And this one, it gets crazy because Crane stopped into the middle of the track. They both pull off, and as Michael Green is one of these cars that starts passing all of them, and Michael Green is going side by side with Hazelton.
You know, Austin, very good sportsmanship there from Crane, by the way. He waited for Wilmot to restart, but in the end, they both lost to Hazelton and to Green, which were also passing each other in the meantime.
Green got a little bit too much of that curve. It went very wide right by the motorcycle museum and under what should be there a bridge, but it is not, as Dylan Fiallo comes across the line for one last time this season. Marco, take it away.
Sale la Blanca aquí en Barber Motorsports Park. One more lap.
One lap to go. White flag is out here at Barber Motorsports Park. If you do not understand Italian,
Spanish.
If you're bad at multiple languages.
How many times have I told you that that is Spanish?
Twice.
You know, it's very late. Oh, Michael Green, no!
Oh!
Oh dear. Michael Green was having, you know, a nice comeback race after his mistake earlier, but this will not help at all. You can see he was in a fight there. That was also Thornton Muir who was getting past him, was lapping him, and he went too deep there. And there's a massive bump, of course he hit that a ton. I was, you know, you might remember that from the when we did the Formula Regional Americas. Some drivers went wide there, and then with their poor F3s, they were flying all over the place. As the fights still continue here, because these guys have a full lap to go, Austin.
Oh, Zach Holden almost gets to the back, but somebody who doesn't have a lap to go, ladies and gentlemen, get the broomsticks out for Le Champion. Dion Fiallo sweeps the Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries presented by Discovery Parts and OMP. Undisputed champion.
absolutely undisputed champion of, undisputed champion of this series, as these three guys here, in the end, for one reason or another, have found each other as Estes. Oh, okay, the race is over for him. I saw him go wide. Uh, I mean, these guys, for one reason or another, they are all in the same piece of tarmac, basically, with one lap to go. And we shall see who prevails as they goes all sorts of sideways, trying to intimidate Reina there. They don't have much to go. They all go in the grass. One more corner.
Oh, this is gonna be send it or not, and Holden is sending up the inside of Michael Day. But unfortunately, that carousel's so hard to do, but he's going for all the marbles in the last corner. It is not going to pay off. And it's going to be Reyna, Day, Holden, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Fight for Crane and Wilmot. In the end, Wilmot prevails. And everyone is home safe and sound, including Dion Fiallo, who is rightfully, I should say, le champion of this championship. And he has
You
been.
just love pulling up that graphic.
I mean, he has been fantastic. He usually comes for an interview, so hopefully we get him very, very soon. As he's le champion, so he gets a nice slow motion there of his Mivano Racing Cayman GT4. Austin, what a fantastic performance. I know you just joined us for the final few rounds of the championship, but you have been keeping track, of course, and we can say, and this is going to be the understatement of the year here on Apex Racing TV, a very deserved title for Dion.
Yeah, it is extremely deserves. Not often you see a driver sweep an entire series, and when they do, it's usually by margins. It's very rare to see a driver sweep a series, but when it does, it is something special. And what Dion Fiallo did here today is insanely special. 5 races in a row, always in a battle with Brant Etz, and then always near the end, just flicking the switch and pulling off a monster of a race and a win. We almost saw the fall of the streak in Watkins Glen, but we didn't, and he's kept it alive here today as he takes the win here at Barber Motorsports Park ahead of Brant Etz, the birthday boy, Thornton Muir, in third, followed by Ryan C. Flannery, Jaden Arena, Michael Day, Zach Holden, Marshall Antkin, Fred Hazelton, Michael Green, Patrick Wilmot, Philip Crane, Ryan T. Harper, Michael Lane, and Trey Cook in 15th.
So, as we wait for our champion to join us in the booth, I think we might get a very quick word, Austin, with
Fred Hazelton.
Yes, and he should be standing there with you.
Howdy, 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 Fred. How are you doing?
Oh, hanging in there. Well, how you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great up here in the booth. It's not as hot as it is out there on track right now. But speaking of the track temperature, you did have some tough times out there today, and a few unfortunate incidents with the wall. How hard was Barber for you?
Barber's always a tough track, very tough to pass. This race in particular was fantastic. Me and Marshall were less than, a tenth most of the race, and
You were nose to tail, I could tell you.
yeah, the whole. But that's the first time in a while I've been almost an entire race that close to somebody and trying as hard as I can to get by, or waiting for him to make a mistake. Turns out that I was the one who made the mistake, but it was a fantastic race.
It certainly was, and what a fantastic way to end out the season. If you had about a few words to describe the season, how was it for you?
This AMP eSeries was wonderful. I look forward to it every Wednesday. A lot of challenges. I wish I had done a little better, of course. Made a few mistakes, got punted a couple times, but hey, that's racing, right? I love it. I can't wait for track season to start, though, personally.
All right. Well, it's always great to see people coming in and having some fun when they can't get to the track. Before we let you go, anyone you wanted to thank?
Flip Crane, for being just a great overall human being.
That is always a good way to thank somebody for being a overall great human being. Well, thank you, Fred. You have yourselves a good rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. You too, and thank you both for doing this. It's been a great experience for me. Thanks.
We've been having fun as well. Marco, who we standing by with?
We will have a chat with our second place driver, Brand Esses, and welcome once again to the booth.
Thank you. Glad I could finally join you guys.
Oh yeah, nice to have you here. And yeah, I think last week there was a couple of technical issues. So yeah, I mean, another podium for you, another race where it seems like you could have, kept up with Dion at least in the opening stance of the race, but then you just pulled away. But you, I mean, you all the races, I think you can safely say to yourself that you did the best you could, and today it was no different.
I agree. He was just too quick today. I, like you said, I stayed with him the first few laps, and of course, I was kind of watching the lap times, and those were some of the best laps I had run all week. I kind of had a feeling at that point that it may have just been a matter of time. He was just so good through the little S section over the curbs, and then through the little kink, kind of going on to the little back straightaway. That I hit it perfect the first 4 or 5 laps, and then made a mistake a time or two there, and that was all he needed.
Uh, how would you describe your championship? All things considered, it was a short one, but how would you describe your experience? And was this your first go at sim racing?
No, I've been on iRacing for several years. This was actually the first time I've done like a league event like this, and it was super fun. Really appreciate Amp and Will and Kevin. Um, Discovery Parts, OMP, all those guys for putting it on, because that was a great idea considering everything that's been going on right now, and it was super fun, and I got a little bit of driving lessons for free, getting to follow Dion around for 5 weeks.
Well, this brand leads me to the final question, which is as per usual. If you have any shout out to make, anyone to say thanks to, this is your moment.
Uh, just like I said, thanks to Kevin and Will for putting this thing on. Appreciate my wife and my kids and some folks at work that have been logging on and watching, kind of cheering me on. So that's made it a little bit more fun. Like I said, it's the first time I've kind of been involved in anything like this, and appreciate you guys getting on here and doing the broadcast, because I've gone back and watched all of them, and y'all do a excellent job. Make it really interesting.
Thanks a lot, Brand. It was a pleasure to commentate on your races, and hopefully we'll catch you very soon here on Apex Racing TV then.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.
Austin, who is Flip Johannon in the? Do we want to find out?
Oh, great.
I am always a fan of finding out, and the oh great makes it even more fun. Howdy, 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 Flip. How are you doing?
Wonderful. How are you guys?
We're doing great. If you want to, if you want to let us in on a little secret, what's your name in iRacing?
Philip Crane.
I had a feeling it was you.
Oh, great. What did I do?
No, I was just wondering who you were.
Oh, I see. We've been running a lot of ovals lately, and they've been interesting. So sometimes we'll meet people, and they'll be like, "You were those guys that jumped in the oval. We're causing mayhem."
Well, speaking of mayhem, it seemed like mayhem out there on track, and unfortunately, it was you were involved in a lot of the quote mayhem as you were spinning around and just trying to tame Barber. How was it today?
Well, it was just fun. It's slick, and those cars are, it's a pretty narrow track. But if you hit the grass, I hit the grass. I think lap 4 or 5, just destroyed the car. But it's just one of those things. Patrick and I joined up together and got to have some good runs, though. It was fun.
It was definitely great to watch you and great to see you work throughout the season. How's this season been for you?
It's been pretty good. A lot of learning curve. I probably need to put a lot more practice in for sure. The GT4s are interesting. It's crazy to see the guys up front how fast they are, and it's fun to run against them just to see where you can make up a lot of times. But I feel like in the middle of the pack and the back of the pack, we had some good runs too. And as long as everybody have fun, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, you're definitely one of the more cheerful guys throughout the season. Before we let you go, any final words?
We all love Fred. Fred is the best, and everybody wants to watch Fred more. So definitely talk to Fred. He's awesome. And we appreciate you guys. It was a lot of fun, the series. I look forward to the next one.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. And before we let you go, anyone you want to shout out? Or
My
did I just
wife,
say that?
Emily, who's watching, she's awesome. And I think her folks are watching too, which is hilarious. So they get to see the comedy routine. We all try to have a lot of fun on here. So hopefully more people do. Don't take it so seriously. And I just appreciate everybody. And AMP for putting it together. It's been awesome. Look forward to the next one. Hopefully run some ovals and have some more mayhem.
All right. Thank you, Philip. You have yourselves a good night. And we're going to send it over to Marco for any closing thoughts.
Yeah, I wanted to have a quick chat with the series organizer, but he disappeared on us in the interview waiting area. So I guess it's time to call it a night. Well, I maintain what I said many times about this championship. This has been one of the best GT4 series we've, as of late, Austin. We have seen an explosion of GT4 series and F3 series, and you are bound to have hit and miss level of quality, especially if the drivers are experienced or not, or how they take the championship seriously or not. But in the end, I have to say these guys with some incidents here and there, but this has been the best GT4 racing I've seen in quite a while here on Apex Racing TV, and it's always a pleasure when you see such a dedicated group of individuals coming together and really, it's so fun and so refreshing to hear these post-race interviews, and everyone is having a good time, even the drivers who didn't have their best race. Absolutely lovely stuff from everyone. And what can we say about Dion Fiallo? Complete domination. He won on any kind of track, in any kind of situation, and he, when you win every race in a championship, even if it's a short one, you deserve, full thumbs up from us. And I'm sure he hasn't showed up in the interview booth because he's drinking a little bit of the bubbly with his friends, and of course with his competitors on the track. And he fully deserves that. So now I give it back to you, and we can call this a night.
Yes, we can. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Apex Racing TV for the Atlanta Motorsports Park eSeries presented by Discovery Parts and OMP. I've been joined by Mark Barbonera, and I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.